Hey there, Shu here. Congratulations on making it this far in the game. You are almost finished with 3D Game Lab. In this lesson, I want to share just a really quick overview of some of the big pictures and big ideas and things that you should walk away with from this game. First of all, we live in a brand new era. We live in what is known as the Anthropocene, anthro meaning humans. And in the past, you've studied things like the Cambrian and the Permian eras, but here we are creating a brand new era for ourselves. And this may sound a little bit arrogant and egotistical given how long Earth has been around, but if you look at this satellite image of Earth, it can be pretty clear to see exactly why we believe that humans have created a brand new era. This state of Earth is unlike anything that we have ever seen before. Humans have changed the landscape permanently in new ways. We've created buildings out of concrete and plastics that aren't going to go away anytime soon. And we are a very unique species. Before humans, no species before had ever created cities or advanced civilizations or had ever explored space or had ever created the internet. We have done some amazing, incredible, miraculous things. However, we've also created a lot of problems in the process, particularly over the past 200 to 300 years. In our advancements of technology, we've created a lot of byproducts. We haven't escaped the selfish trait that all species possess, and that is the ability to survive, the desire and the urge to prolong our species. And so we've created problems like new and more severe natural disasters. We've created global climate change, including melting ice caps that are destroying habitats and ecosystems. We've created pollution of both water and air. And we've also been exploiting natural resources in unsustainable ways that are causing some species to go extinct and actually threaten our very own survival. And this problem of global sustainability, the idea of keeping humans alive, is kind of a really new concept. While local sustainability is nothing new, we can think about how our ancient ancestors were only able to farm up a certain amount of food, and the amount of food that they could farm or harvest or gather would determine exactly how many people in that population could exist. But that was always on a local scale. What one hunter did in the Amazon rainforest wouldn't affect someone sitting in Australia or Africa or Europe. But now we've created these problems where the actions of people in, say, the United States do have real consequences for people living in other places. We are much more globally connected than we've ever been, and the problems that we face on the global scale are new to us. But let's not make any mistake in understanding what sustainability is. As George Carlin once said, the greatest arrogance of all is the idea of save the planet. The planet has been through a lot worse than us. The planet isn't going anywhere. We are. And so when we talk about sustainability, we're not talking about saving anything other than ourselves. We're only talking about using our planet's resources in a way that will preserve the human species, that will make it so that we can survive into the foreseeable future. And while there has been a lot of doom and gloom in this conversation about the problems that humans have been creating, there is reason for optimism. As Malthus once predicted, the human population could only reach a carrying capacity of about 100 million. And we've far surpassed that. We're rapidly approaching 7 billion people on our planet. And that is largely due to new technologies, especially in agriculture. And we see headlines creep up all the time about how we're actually doing a really good job at certain things. For example, this headline that says that mercury, DDT, and other contaminants in fish are at a 4-decade low. And in one of the quests, you saw a TED Talk from Al Gore in which the very person who once brought climate change into the popular perspective, who actually raised the awareness in most people's vision of what global climate change is, came on stage and said there is reason to believe that we are doing an excellent job in actually combating climate change. Our investments in clean energy are rapidly growing and actually are having real impacts and ramifications for climate change. And so there are other technologies that we may expect as well. Just as Malthus could not predict the new agricultural technologies that could come around, we may actually have technological miracles in the making that could extend the human population and sustainability. My favorite example of this is nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion involves harvesting the same energy that fuels our sun and it could produce massive amounts of reliable, clean, safe energy. And using only hydrogen and producing helium as the only waste byproduct. And if that were the case, if you think about it, that would solve just about all of the major problems we have. We'd no longer be burning things for energy, such as oil or natural resources, including coal and biomass. We would no longer have carbon emissions as being a large problem. We would no longer have incomplete combustion or acid rain if everything was fueled on nuclear fusion powered electricity. We could use that electricity to create more crops and to desalinate water and to deal with our global water crisis. We can use this potential technology to solve just about every problem that we face today. However, we cannot count on such a technology coming around and saving us. We have to be able to prepare for the reality that a technology may not be able to sustain the human population the way it is now. And so the difference maker will be you. It's up to you and me and each of us to be able to create a more sustainable society, to be able to use resources in a way that is going to preserve our species. And the reality is, if you remember in the very beginning of this game, you looked at your eco footprint. And most people have an eco footprint of right around 4, which means it would take 4 planet Earths to be able to sustain that lifestyle of an eco footprint of 4. And what that really means is, if you think about it, if everybody on our planet lived like you or like me, it would take 4 planet Earths to be able to sustain that. Which means that what happens to the other 75% of the people who can't live that way? Either we always have to end up with this massive inequality where there will be the majority of the global population will be living in destitute poverty, or we have to reduce our own lifestyle, or we have some miracle that comes along. And since we can't bank on that miracle, we have to be able to prepare for the reality that we need to change our lifestyles in order to make our lifestyle more sustainable and equitable. And so you hear these 3 R's used a lot, and they are used to possibly even extreme extent in this conversation. But the reduce, reuse, recycle mantra is important for being able to actually create this this sustainable population. By using fewer resources, and that means that we create less of a demand and less of a stress. There are fewer emissions, there are fewer things created that we need to worry about. If we reuse things, then we're not dumping things, and then we don't have these landfill problems and pollution problems, and we don't have to worry about creating more things that will outlive us. And so what can you do about it? You can speak with your vote when you're old enough to vote, and with your dollar. By spending on perhaps a little bit more money on something that is sustainably created or purchased through fair trade or anything like that, you actually are driving the market. You're motivating the producers to be able to create these more sustainable industries. And to leave this off, never underestimate the power of one. There was once a lone Indian man who planted 1,360 acres of forest by himself over the course of 30 years. And if one man can plant a 1,300-acre forest, imagine what you can do in the future.